Hey guys, in this month's top 5, I'm going to be talking about my 5 favorite school reads. So, what do I mean by my favorite school reads? I am talking about anything that I read anywhere from between elementary, middle school, or high school. This will not include anything I read in college. That will be a whole other video in the future. Just to let you guys know, pretty much when I hit middle school, I knew that I wanted to major in English once I got to college. So I have always been really interested in literature, and in middle school and high school, that was the subject I excelled at. So I actually really enjoyed most everything that was given to me in middle school and high school. Even though it was forced reading material, I always enjoyed it compared to all my other classmates who always grumbled and muttered that this book sucks, and I was always back there thinking, well, I really enjoyed this. So what I'm trying to say is that I was kind of a weirdo back in middle school and high school because I actually enjoyed my literature classes compared to everyone else. So let's get going. These are my 5 favorite school reads. At number 5 is The Crucible by Arthur Miller, and this is a play, and it takes place during the Salem witchcraft trials of 1692, if I am not mistaken. The Crucible is seriously one of my all-time favorite plays. There's just something so rich and deep about it, and the characters are so fascinating, and I've always just really loved the subject of the Salem witchcraft trials. And this play is kind of what got me into the Salem witchcraft trials to begin with. You could read The Crucible as just a piece of historical fiction, but the big thing about The Crucible is that Arthur Miller wrote it as a sort of response to the anti-communist hysteria that was going on in the US at the time. At number 4 is A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. And this is another play. This one is one of Shakespeare's comedies, one of my favorite comedies, and it takes place kind of during this man and woman's wedding, but kind of going on outside of this wedding are these 4 young people who have this kind of weird love quadrangle going on. And then you also have this troupe of actors who are doing their own thing, and then you also have this group of fairies. So this play, even though it is incredibly short, there's so much going on and so many fun and interesting characters. And I totally love the fairy segments. I love Oberon and Puck and Titania. And this is probably one of the easiest Shakespeare plays to read. I remember kind of reading this for class and, you know, kind of thinking, oh, I'm gonna have a hard time reading this, but I actually had a fairly easy time reading this. The language can get a bit kind of flowery and overly extravagant and wild and crazy, but there's still something that's really easy to read about this. At number 3 is The Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This book is about a group of boys who have crash landed on this island. They're the only ones on this island, and it's basically about them trying to survive on this island. And of course, there's gotta be power plays, and not everyone's gonna get along, and there's people who are vying for power positions. I believe I read this book the first time in middle school. I really enjoyed it. I loved how dark it was. I loved the intensity. I really liked all the characters, even the ones you're supposed to hate. It was just fascinating to witness all these boys who I think they all came from like a boarding school. I've not read this book since middle school, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're all supposed to be wealthy and kind of well-to-do, and they all crash, and you know, they're all still dressed in kind of their school uniforms, and it's just interesting to watch them all kind of get out of their kind of proper look, and they all go kind of wild and nuts and become like crazy people on this island, and they all start killing people and animals, and it's crazy. I know a lot of people on BookTube for some reason really hate Lord of the Flies. I kind of don't understand why. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was never bored. At number 2 is The Odyssey by Homer, and this is a epic poem And it's about this guy named Odysseus. He has just fought in the Trojan War, and he's trying to make his way home to his wife and son. But of course, that's not going to happen. All these other adventures have to get in the way. Things like sea monsters and Cyclops and this crazy lady on an island who turns men into pigs. Let's put it this way, if you have read Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, that's basically a condensed version of the Odyssey. I love, 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 love the Odyssey. I think I had to read it quite a few times throughout high school. I might have read it in middle school too, I can't remember, but I definitely read it about 2 or 3 times throughout high school. And I never got bored. I always looked forward to whenever I was assigned this material. The Odyssey just has everything. It has a lot of action, adventure, a bit of romance, some interesting characters, some interesting side characters like the Greek gods and goddesses that randomly pop up. At number 1 is Nights by Elie Wiesel, and this is a memoir written by Elie Wiesel about his time during the Holocaust. When he is a teenager, he is taken from his home in Transylvania to the Auschwitz concentration camp, and then from there he goes to the Buchenwald concentration camp. And through all this, he experiences all of this with his father. This is one of the most heartbreaking nonfiction accounts of the Holocaust I have ever read. This book seriously put me to tears. When I was assigned to read this for class, I was excited to read it because the teacher had said this is a Holocaust memoir, and I had already been learning and studying about the Holocaust, and I enjoyed the subject. I enjoyed learning about it. And I wasn't prepared, though, to be just an emotional wreck by the end of this book. It's such a small, tiny book, but Elie Wiesel fits so much into this, so much emotion. And this book, it's so horrifying and frightening. You just feel all sorts of emotions while reading this. So if you have not read Night yet, I highly suggest you do. You will never forget this. So that's it for this month's top 5. I hope you guys enjoyed. In the comments below, I would like to hear what sort of books you guys enjoyed reading in elementary school or middle school or high school. Things that you were forced to read that you weren't maybe initially wanting to read, but then you ended up liking it. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you liked this top 5, you may like these other top 5s. Bye guys.